So I just want to remind you that from the world of the supernatural, we have got so much energy floating around the planet, and nobody understands it because it's not taught in high schools. What is it? It's called ley line, Leyline, or dragon line. And these are, have you ever heard of one of those people that does dowsing? You need to have a well drilled on your rural property, and you hire this guy, a dowser, to come over to your house and find the place to drill. And how does he do it? He doesn't have a bunch of computers or anything. He's got a dowsing rod, and he puts a dowsing rod. It's just like, it's just like a coat hanger, and it's bent. He puts it in his hand, and he's very sensitive to energies, or she's very sensitive to energies, and they go around and they follow the pointer, the dowser. And what he's really tapping into are ley lines, energy lines. They're not visible, and mainstream science doesn't study them, but everyone who's rural knows you need a dowser because they're going to tell you the right spot to drill to get water. So these ley lines are all over planet Earth and nobody really knows about it. So few people know about this. But there's massive connections between different places on the planet. And we don't know about it. So as far as supernatural goes, why do we talk about supernatural? Because this is enormous amounts of energy. And people who do know about these energies, they're the occult people. What are you talking about? I'm talking about like people like witches. What do they do with this energy? Well, they have their ceremonies, and they use the energy that's already in the earth to magnify whatever witchery they're doing. Is it good witchery or bad witchery? And it depends upon the witch. But if you've got, and you all have heard these stories about these Luciferianisms, these people who dress up and then they go to parties in Hollywood where they're, you know, eating a cake that's in the shape of a human baby or something. You've heard all of these cuckoo stories. These are the kind of people who are playing with these earth energies and they're turning them toxic. These Luciferians are not about life, they're about killing you all off. These people are insane, and believe it or not, because they're in a human form, they can access ley line energy and use it for horrible purposes. Sounds, like I don't really want to go any further. This is how people are thinking. People don't understand these energy lines, and they don't understand that this is an energy body. And it interacts with all of this other energy because you can't see it. And most people are not sensitive enough to energy to know what's going on. But that's what's going on. There's a lot of negative people who have had their eyes on these ley lines. And who are they? Well, they're the elite. They're the filthy rich that have got all the time in the world to do all of this stuff. They know where these energy lines are because they got so much money they can send people out to go and figure it out. And so they figured it out. And then on the other side, you've got mom and pop who are driving around in their 1974 Ford pickup, and they're also doing ceremonies on ley lines to try and keep the lines clean. So, who's going to win? Mom and pop in their 1974 Ford or the Luciferians of Hollywood? We're going to find out. It's going to be like Dumbledore's army. Well, not really, because there's not that many of these mom and pops in the 1974 Ford. And as far as Luciferians go, they have a lot of fans. So if you're a fan of some of these Hollywood celebrities and you're constantly looking at them, you're giving them your energy. Believes them. I'm sorry. This is occult stuff. That's why it's called occult. It's hidden from you. And you're so, I don't believe it. I can only tell you about this stuff. I can't make you believe it. But I can plant a seed, and if you're smart, you might do a bit of research on it. I'm sorry, you people are so brainwashed. You think that there's no such thing as the occult. It's just like a club that you go to, you dress up goth, and, No, there is way more to it. Way more to it, and you're never going to believe it until you're in the middle of it. And you see that, oh my God, I can't believe this is working. Whatever they're doing, it's real. And I'm sorry, I don't have a tin hat. I've got a supernatural hat. And that's all I can tell you. It's real. It's a cult. It's being used, and it's probably being used against you. It's all part of the mass mind control of the 3D matrix, some people call it. MK Ultra, some people might call it. But whatever it is, lies from mainstream news. In other stories, we've heard this weird story about, the Trump supporters talking about the Kraken. Well, it's time for the Kraken to get cracking, because waiting around, things are not going to get any more better than the present time for the Kraken to start coming out. And if it gets suppressed more and more, people are going to keep wondering, what the fuck happened with all of that stuff? And if it doesn't happen, people are going to start getting perturbed and getting annoyed. And, how come this is not coming out? We were promised all this stuff. We're promised all of this stuff, this major cleanup. How come it's not going on? People are going to stew about it, because they've been stewing about it for a long time. And they're just going to stew all the more because they're not seeing anything. All this talk is cheap. But as far as actually getting the results of cleaning out all the... people keep looking and it ain't there. They're promising this date and this person and that person. And Trump has come and gone. And none of this stuff that was promised by that letter, those Alcoholics Anonymous people. I'm not supposed to say the word, super sensitive, but maybe I can draw it. That's what they're talking about, those Alcoholic Anonymous people. And they're all expecting something, and nothing has come out. So the people that keep talking about, here comes the Kraken, and I haven't seen no Kraken. So if this Kraken is getting suppressed, then people are going to be stewing. And you keep putting people in a stew, and pretty soon the stew's going to be ready.